Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the West End Imps show. We're joined by Chris, as always, to talk about this 2-0 defeat to Cambridge United. Chris, how are you doing on this gloomy Sunday up here in Lincoln?
Yeah, fine. I'm all right. Thanks, mate. Are you?
Yeah, do you know what, Chris? We say this so many times. I think the worst part of the day was actually the football yesterday, but we'll get on to that. Obviously, Cambridge United then, a game that obviously we won convincingly last year, not so much this time around. When the team came out at 2:00, I don't think there were too many surprises. I don't know what your thoughts on that were, Chris.
Not really. No, I think I guess it's difficult to think about the team selection after you've seen the team play. So, trying to put myself back into 2:00 mode yesterday when the team came out. I think the only question mark I'd have had about that starting 11 was whether Vernon possibly was due a start. But apart from that, I think we've all seen that Ted Bishop can play in a number of positions. I think that's probably unfortunate for him. He's not really nailing down his position, but I don't think there were many surprises. Back four kind of picks itself to an extent. Midfield, one or two rotations perhaps, but with Sanders being out, I think that was for me the only question mark was whether Vernon would or wouldn't start, and obviously he didn't.
And I think we actually started off brightly. Actually, we were pinging the ball about pretty well. From what I can remember, Ted Bishop had an opportunity. It looked like he was certain to score, but he decided to pass it back to the goalkeeper. I thought we were pretty dominant in the first sort of 5-10 minutes. We came out the traps really well, looking to attack Cambridge and go on and win. What did you make of the first sort of 10-15 minutes? Because I thought we were definitely in the game. No, certainly not worse off than Cambridge.
No, I thought we did start quite brightly. 5, maybe 10 minutes is a bit of a stretch, but certainly that opening first few minutes of the game, I thought we looked quite bright. I thought it was going to probably be, we felt on the front foot a little bit. Like you say, Teddy Bishop had an opportunity early on. I think he tried to do a Scully, cutting in from the left and bending it in, and it ended up just being, like you say, a gentle pass back. We started okay. I thought Sorensen was really combative in the middle. Didn't really. I thought Bishop playing on the left is different to Bishop playing on the right. I think on the left he does drift in a lot more, whereas on the right he kind of tries to keep the width. But I think that was probably the only noticeable problem I could see in that opening sort of exchanges, was that we were very narrow on the left, which didn't give us opportunities for overlapping, although Oatley Booth attempted a few times, I guess. I thought we started quite brightly, and then I just don't know what happened. It just fell apart.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think we're pretty narrow on both sides. Jack Diamond looked like he was tucking in to play a secondary sort of 9 position as well, which was just pretty strange. Maybe we'll talk about what Joe Walsh said after the game, obviously, given his comments as well. And then the first goal came 24 minutes in, 25 minutes in, comes down our right-hand side, ball into the box, and we know Joe Ironside scores goals at this level, and ultimately he put the ball in the back of Carl Rushworth's net.
Yeah, I think there's opportunities to deal with that before it gets into the box. We haven't. They've scored. Amazing what happens if you have a number 9 that scores goals regularly. Just one of those things, isn't it? And then to have the double just a couple of minutes later was just a real killer blow. I just thought we're just never going to come back from that, because we just completely collapsed.
Yeah, like you say, the second goal also coming down the right-hand side.
Pretty similar kind of goal.
Yeah, it's becoming a tale all too similar at the moment. Goals coming down that side of our defence. And then Joe Ironside again. I think, was it the second goal that were caught offside? I didn't think the lad who played the ball across was offside. Obviously, I think Rowan's gone to clear it. The lad's hit it back in, and I think it's come off both of our centre halves, and it's landed perfectly at the feet of Joe Ironside, who makes no mistake. And from then on in, we looked defeated. I think the rest of the first half, we were poor, we were sloppy in possession. Cambridge looked like they might score a third. But Rushworth particularly wasn't really tested, and I don't think we tested them either. Pretty just poor first half performance. And, you thought at half time with the substitutions, obviously Lass Sorensen going off with an injury, Matty Virtue coming on for his debut, which I thought he did pretty well, to be fair to him, considering the 4 isn't his natural position. And who else came on at half time? Joe Walsh came on at half time.
Yeah.
A really good impact, I thought. So I think I said to you at points in the second half, or I said to somebody around me, it might have been one of the fun bus lot, that I felt a lot more secure with Joe Walsh on at left centre half and Regan going out to right back. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. We are a much better defensive unit with Joe Walsh in the side. Gives us that balance being left-footed. I think Poole, he's so good at centre back, but he's also so good at right back. And for me, I think moving forward over the next few games, I don't like calling players out, but let's be honest, TJ's been a shadow of his former self. And I think he needs a bit of time out of the team just to kind of regroup himself. And I don't know what's going on, whether it's the sort of response to long COVID and the injury, or, whether it's, in my opinion, partly down to just complacency because he's got no competition. But I think with Walsh coming back, it gives us more options. And I think Poole on the right, he just hugs that touchline and he is trying to stretch it. And there were so many times second half that he was completely free and open, but they were just making poor decisions to go into really crowded areas rather than trying to switch it across to him. But yeah, I think now that Walsh, if we can keep him fit and get 25 games out of him, then I think we'll be in a much better position because of that.
And a word on Matthew Virtue as well. Obviously, signed on deadline day from Blackpool, came on to replace Lass in midfield, who had a decent game in the first half, considering all the circumstances. Matthew Virtue just looked a little, to play the ball quickly and move it around and make options as well. Someone that you think will probably be really useful for us going forward this season.
I think he'll be a great signing and a great player for us. I think it was just a really difficult game for him to come on at half time in, because we weren't going to get back into that game. We could have been still playing and I don't think we'd have scored. But yeah, I think he's got real kind of pedigree and quality. And it'll be interesting to see what that midfield looks like on Saturday.
We did have a chance. I call it a singular chance. Ball came in, I think it was actually from the right-hand side when we decided to play Regan down there. And Tom Hopper, a number 9, who's not renowned for his goals, not a bad centre-forward. But if it was Joe Ironside, I'd back the ball to go into the back of the net. Tom Hopper headed it down, which is the right thing to do, but straight at the goalkeeper. And from then on in, we just looked timid and the game sort of petered out. I think Kennedy referred to it in his post-match, didn't he? That 15-minute spell, sort of after half time, where we had that energy, that was what his Lincoln City side wants to look like. But we just for some reason or another didn't decide to keep up the pressure, and ultimately it's costed the defeat to a team that I didn't really think were much better than us.
No, I don't think they were. I think we're probably at a similar-ish level. The difference on the day was having a clinical man in that box. We know Kennedy wants to have those overlapping fullbacks and those midfielders offering that overlapping runs as well, so that the Diamond and Vernham or Bishop can go a little bit closer to Hopper. But I'm a huge fan of Tom Hopper. I think what he brings to the team is a lot of quality defensively, which is weird when you're talking about striker, but he is a great player, defending corners and free kicks and stuff, but also winning free kicks for us and holding the ball up. But he didn't get a look in yesterday. He was really well marshalled, and he was so isolated. And I think that's something that we're seeing quite a bit, actually, is such a huge gap between the midfield and Hopper. And that's the kind of frustration I have with Teddy Bishop, is that if he's playing in that 8 or 10 role, he will be in and around that 20, 25 yards out, where he can pick up those knockdowns, those chest downs, and then you hope that sort of the 2 wide players will be running on beyond Hopper to win the flick-ons, but nothing clicked yesterday. It was a really, really poor performance from all players. I think pretty much.
And before we go on to the comments of Joe Walsh, a man of the match, Chris, from you, I don't particularly know who to give it to. I think if I had to give it to someone, I'd probably give it to somebody like Regan Poole or to Lasse Sorensen. I think those two, those two just came out with the heads held highest out of a bad bunch of performances. I don't think anybody particularly impressed. I wasn't impressed with Diamond. I think he played too narrow compared to what he did on Tuesday night at Barnsley. The midfield was pretty much non-existent. Ben House had an absolute stinker. I'm sure he'll be the first to admit that. And but yeah, who do you think was man of the match? Maybe Joe Walsh, who came on for 45.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one because you're giving men of the half, aren't you, rather than man of the match. Walsh second half for sure. Sorensen for me first half, and Diamond first half. I thought both of them at least were putting in maximum effort, and I think Sorensen was doing really well positionally. He was offering a lot of sort of, he was getting in and being quite aggressive, and so for me, Sorensen first half and Walsh second half, but I don't think there was a man of the match.
Yeah, I don't even think it's like you could say at the Peterborough game where the fans were the man of the match, because the away end was pretty flat, and I don't blame the supporters whatsoever. Just as a side note, good to see Clive in the away stand yesterday after his interview in the week as well. Just good to see Clive in and around and amongst it. Makes you feel like we're all together. Right, Walsh's comments, they've got to be addressed. The fact that he said that for some reason the team didn't follow the game plan, which is really, really concerning.
Yeah, it's very odd and somewhat troubling. But we don't know what goes on, do we? Day in, day out at the training ground and behind the scenes. But it was just interesting to hear him kind of say that. And I don't know. I think is it the young players? Is it that element of not having that experience and that maturity? I kind of find that a bit of a weak excuse sometimes because they're professional footballers. And, there's no one in there that's kind of young, like 18, 19 young. These are all sort of in their early to mid 20s. And for me, that's not young as a footballer anymore. It's a bit worrying, but I guess we're going to know a lot more about these players over the next few games. We've got a pretty hectic schedule this month, and we've got some very difficult games. I think we have to come away Saturday with a win.
Yeah, I suppose the only positive we can take out of yesterday was the news that the injured players look to be coming back to the first team fold in the next 10 days, Kennedy said. So you're looking at Danny Mandrews, Jordan Garrick and Max Sanders, all of three of which probably would get back into the team and make some sort of impact, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think based on yesterday's performance, all three start, as soon as they're fit. I mean, Mandrew, I don't know, does he actually exist? But yeah, Sanders for me, I think he's got great energy and he's really always on the front foot. So I've been really impressed with him in the early games of the season. And Garrick, we're all kind of big fans of Garrick, even though we've seen him fleetingly. I think there needs to be a bit of a shake-up. And I think from Kennedy's post-match comments, that's probably what's going to happen. I think he was clearly disappointed with a number of players' sort of mindset and attitude. That's inexcusable. It's completely inexcusable to me if you've not got the right attitude or the mindset, and then you do not deserve to be playing. And I would expect there to be some big changes for next week, actually, particularly if we've got one or two extra back from injury. I'm not sure. Mandrew, I think, has picked up another little knock in training, so that might delay him. But hopefully we're looking at Garrick and Sanders potentially being back in the squad Saturday. So I think there needs to be, 3 or 4 changes if we can make them. We'll see. I will say that my biggest concern is the fact that we've not brought in another striker, and I'm sure I'm not alone in thinking that. But for me, that is going to be really difficult. I don't feel comfortable with square pegs in round holes if Hops picks up an injury or a suspension over the next couple of months. We have players that can play there, but equally, do we want Teddy Bishop playing right wing, left wing, right back? No, but he is, because that's all we've got to go with. So there's worry. It's worrying for me. I think we've got to get out of this sort of, I guess, a little bit of a rut that we're in. Although on paper, it's 2 defeats in the season, but a lot of draws, and just from the performance yesterday. The attitude, I just think, really was really disappointing.
Right, let's stop talking about Cambridge before we start crying. Thanks for coming on again, Chris. We'll look forward to having you back on next week. Hopefully, talking about a home win, which would be a nice change.
What's one of those, mate? I've forgotten what they are.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if anyone can tell me the last time we won at home, I would love you to let me know. Genuinely, I think it feels like it was Sheffield Wednesday. Do you know what I mean? It was that long ago. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. We are trying to reach 1,000 by the end of 2022. I think we're maybe at 650, around there. If we could push towards 700 over the next month or so, that'd be massively appreciated. Chris, have you got anything that you'd like to plug on this Sunday morning?
No, nothing from me, mate.
Oh. Well, that's all good then. All good. Right, thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time, Chris. Up the Imps.
Up the Imps, mate. See you later.